guess first off, a couple of weeks ago coming up SECs, just how did you feel about that, and I guess how are you feeling heading into it?
Well, you're never satisfied with not winning a track meet. I mean, but SEC right now is it's not a level playing field, and I think everybody knows that. So no sense talking about that. I am pleased that we are healthy. We got 14 people going to the national championships, and that's a good sized group. We've won it with less than that. So, it's a competitive group. And if this group, and our key right now and what we talk about all the time is everybody having a good day on the same day. We've had rehearsals all year long. SEC was a rehearsal for this meet because this one is the one that counts. So use all your experiences, try to put them together, and let's see if we can have everybody have a good day on the same day, and that's the challenge.
It is a challenge.
Yeah.
All the right pieces at the right time. And
that's
I
right.
know you said that you felt like there were some points left out there last time. So do you feel confident that you guys are in a spot that you'll be able to?
Well, the points that we left at the SEC meet, they can't even be involved in the NCAA championships because they didn't qualify. So their season starts next week when we move outdoors, because on Monday we travel to an outdoor meet. And we finish this one, the indoor, on Saturday, so it gets going right away. But this group is, if they do what they're capable of doing, they can be competitive on both sides.
Were you surprised what Brandon Miller was able to
No.
pull off?
No, Brandon is very capable both physically and mentally, and that's once you have those things going for you, once you have that mental preparedness, you got a lot of the battle done. And he's tough mentally. When you go to the line and you look up like this at the guys you're running against, you better be tough, and he is. So for a guy to run 1:45.2 indoors and beat everybody pretty bad at the SEC championships, he's ready to go.
Do you think that performance and preparing for this meet, just the way it shook out last year, or just didn't qualify for national, that's been really motivating him this new season?
Well, I don't think he was necessarily happy with last year, but freshmen are a lot of times that's their role as a freshman. They got to learn what it takes to compete at this level. You can be the best high school guy in the country and step into this and you can't even compete at all. So he did a good job last year, but he learned, and he came back to the outdoor season, was second at the outdoor championships. So he made some great strides last year, and we have others that are like that. We have another freshman quarter miler that's qualified right now in the open quarter, who's run 46.0, Belmadelli, and he may be a little bit ahead of what Brandon did last year, just because he's in the meet. He's qualified for this meet. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Brandon Miller is a guy that he kind of sets the tone for on the men's side. He's one of those guys that he's ready to go, and it helps the other guys get themselves ready to go.
Does you talked about the quick turnaround? I mean, it's immediately you start the outdoor season. Does that make preparing for this any more challenging? I mean, because this is nationals, but at the same time, there's a whole other season before.
Yeah, actually, indoors is to get you ready for outdoors, and that's the way we look at it. We want to try to win indoors. There's no question about it. But track's still outside, and so we start Monday with our outdoor travel. We start competing that following Friday. The NCAA group, I will treat a little bit different as far as the competition level going into the first meet than I will some others going into that first competition, just because others haven't competed at all in a couple of weeks. So coming off the national championship, you just want to be, some of the national championship people will be ready to go. They want to go right now. But next week we start with, we got a 4x1. Of course, you don't run a 4x100 meter relay indoors. You don't throw the javelin indoors. You don't throw the discus indoors. You don't run the intermediate hurdles indoors. So we have a lot of people that have been sitting on the side getting ready to compete right now. So track season gets started next week.
You talked about Brandon Miller on the men's side, on Lamar Diston.
Yeah.
How much has she impressed you?
Yeah. Yeah, Lamara, you can just watch it. I mean, this time a year ago, she was jumping pretty good, but she wasn't mentally prepared like she is now. Now she's she's got a year seasoning. She's tougher between the ears, and that's what it takes to be really good. I mean, she has got to be very confident in her abilities, and that's the biggest gain I see in Lamara. She had all the talent in the world, but if you don't think you can do it, you can't. And she now knows she can do it. She can do it.
Coach, I remember leading up to SEC, you were talking about how you were hoping with the increased level of competition that would allow some of the athletes to step up their game.
Yeah.
Just, how do you feel like, especially the ones that qualified for this indoor championship, fared in that game?
Well, let's just talk about both relays. The women's relay improved 6 seconds. Well, that's absurd. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, but that shows the level of competition and what we were capable of doing. We just didn't have that level of competition all year long. A lot of the schools jump around from meet to meet. They'll take this group over here and this group over here, and they'll go to these set-up meets. I don't do that. I keep our team together because I think it's a team. I don't like the splitting up, and so as a result, we kind of, the relay is a direct example of what happens if you aren't in competition. The men looked really good too, and I think the problem is the men are going to be in the middle section. They won't be in the fast section. We're going to have to run. There's 4 teams in each. They'll take 12 teams and there'll be 3 heats of 4. So we have got to try to win our heat and run faster than what we think that next heat can possibly. We got to run absolutely the best we can run. On the women's side, we're going to be in the first heat, and that allows us to better compete against the best there is. But Arkansas has run the fastest time in the country. That was a new collegiate record last weekend, and we broke the collegiate record last weekend as well. So with 2 teams breaking the collegiate record, and we're going to run head up with them again next week or this week, it's going to be a great competition.
Yeah, looking through the notes here, tell me a little bit more about Emmanuel.
Bamadelli.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Bamadelli. Yeah, he's a freshman, and he qualified to go to the national championships at 46.00, which is a huge accomplishment for a freshman. And I think he's going to run really fast. He's just not knowledgeable of indoor track and field. And running 400 meters indoors is completely different than running 400 meters outdoors. He listens. He does what I ask him to do. Almost, it's hard to explain this. If you don't get the break, in other words, if you aren't leading at 200 meters indoors, somebody's going to have a hard time overtaking you if you're leading at 200 meters. That's not necessarily the case outdoors. So I told him, just like the Florida coach told his kid, make sure you get to the break first. Both those guys ran 20:80. That's too fast to run, but they were both so competitive, they were trying to get to that point. If he'd have run 21.2 or 21.3, I think he'd have been much more competitive. I think he might have been able to run as well as that other boy did. But once you have the lead at 200 meters, it's very difficult to get around somebody indoors. That's not the case outdoors.
And I believe he was a kind of a mid-semester transfer.
No, he came in.
Okay.
He came in as a regular freshman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and then just what is the how impressive is that learning curve to get into that indoor game
Yeah.
So quickly?
Well, and we were just making a comparison. I would compare him to Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller didn't qualify to the national championships indoors last year, and he was second in the outdoor championships. That means he beat a whole lot of people that beat him indoors. Bomadelli is in that same situation. I mean, he's qualified to the indoor, so he's a little bit ahead of the curve right now. We'll see what he can do. He's run fast outside. He's run 44 plus outside. So to run 46.0 right now, I think he's a little more capable of that, and I think this is a weekend we might be able to see that.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned Brandon. I know it's hard to necessarily compare different events, but you see him kind of following that same mold of.
You hope everybody follows that mold.
True.
If everybody follows Brandon Miller's mold, then you're going to have a heck of a track team. Yeah.
You guys good?
Thank you, guys.
Okay.